Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at Wizorb. This is a 2012 game that takes the concept of Arkanoid and adds a lot of RPG elements. Here we're going to go into the prologue. In ancient times, the Kingdom of Gorudo was cursed by demons. The king and all his subjects vanished mysteriously. Amongst them were 4 sacred children, guardians of balance. Weird that there are actually 6 shadows in the background. Gorudo's last hope rested in the courage of a skilled swordsman named Owain, who embarked on a quest to banish evil. However, he never came back, and Gorudo fell deeper into despair. Then, from the distant land, came Cyrus, a wizard versed in both black and white magic, and a master of a secret magic called Wizorb. Please, Master Cyrus, save Gorudo. Then we have several abilities and charms that we will use in the Arkanoid, and several abilities and dangers. And so, yeah, you have really an 8-bit looking experience here, with really nice graphics, pixely, intentionally pixely, but very bright and colorful, with a kind of limited color palette to not have to have that bright and colorful element. So I just finished playing a game, or didn't really finish playing it, just gave up on a game that I believe was from 2017 called Death's Hangover, which basically tried to do this exact same thing, with maybe some slight details. So this is going to be in a direct comparison to Death's Hangover, although this game is older, and this is a game from, I believe it's Tribute Games, that got a lot of coverage and just had more of an advertisement budget, where Death's Hangover definitely was a game that was easily overlooked by it being made from a single person. So Arkanoid is, in case you're not aware, a paddle and a ball that bounces up to usually break bricks and sometimes fight enemies and hit enemies. It is the direct evolution from Pong, where Pong would be paddles on the left and right side, and you would be bouncing the ball between 2 players. Arkanoid was a early first generation arcade game, but really struggles to evolve past that point. So making an occasional twist on Arkanoid every 5 to 10 years is about as many games as you can ever expect. So the basic rules are: you move your magic wand, which is the paddle at the bottom, left and right to bounce the magic orb, which is the ball. The orb bounces at a different angle depending on what part of the magic wand it hits. There are 5 different worlds and 12 levels per world. Destroy all blocks and to clear a level. So we do have a higher challenge here, in which you have to destroy all the blocks in a level, whereas in Death's Hangover you really didn't. You just had to get the ball to hit the door on the back panel on the top wall most of the times to leave a level, which really just made the levels feel small and easily skippable. Extra gold is awarded when clearing a level. Your score represents the amount of gold earned for each world. A star can be awarded for a high score. Use the D-pad or the left stick to move. Left stick also controls the speed of the magic wand. Holding X, moving the magic wand using the D-pad doubles its speed. Press A to launch the orb. Press start to pause the game and display the inventory, which the RPG elements of this game may strategically change how it actually plays. Black magic, you press A to shoot a fireball. Magic consumed is 10%. Press A when the orb hits the magic wand to ignite a magma orb. Magic consumed equals 40%. So it looks like you're going to have a deplenishable magic amount. White magic, you press B to alter the trajectory of the orb towards the magic wand, which is, I guess, a save of sorts, consuming 10%. Then you press B when the orb hits the magic wand to slow down the orb and control it briefly. Magic consumed there, 30%. Interesting, it goes from 40% to 30%. So inherently that means you could do the magma orb once and the hit slow down and control it briefly twice per magic bar. After losing a life, press B to place the orb anywhere in the level. Magic consumed 30%. When the orb bounces on the magic wand 8 times without hitting a block nor an enemy, magic is refilled by 10%. Which, that is an interesting balancing system that it's proposing there, in that if you are just stuck and there's one last brick to hit, you will eventually get enough magic that would let you hit the brick with the fireball, assuming you can actually hit the brick with the fireball. Level completion for bonuses 8 of 20. This is a lot of explanation, but I don't hate games that really explain everything for people that want to read it. I did have to go into the menu to read all of this. You complete the level, is cleared. Perfect, no life was lost during the level, and hoarder, all items were picked up during the level. So that leaves you with potentially a plus 100 gold bonus if you play perfectly. And then world completion, when a world is completed, you get 100 for completing a world. You get 1,000 gold if no life is lost in the current world. And you get a 100 bonus for frugal, no money being spent in shops, nor on continues. There are items that I assume the top left one is a gold coin, and then the red ruby is a gem. Gold coins increase your gold points by 1, gems increase your gold points by 10. There's an unshown key, increases your keys by 1, which allows the orb to enter a locked door. Then there's potions. Too many things red. There's red hearts, red rubies, and red potions. I guess red inherently just means good. Potions replenish magic by 20%. Heart grants an extra life. And a fairy, she flies around and drops items randomly until she leaves the screen. This is all clearly influenced in part by Zelda. You can see that even more in the shop here. The Adventure of Zelda, the very first Zelda game, or the Zelda Super NES games probably would be more accurate comparison. One of the things I think that hurt Wizorb more than it should was just the name. Wizorb is kind of a silly name, but it does also stand out and is somewhat memorable. Big potion in the shop replenishes all magic. A long wand enlarges your magic wand. I don't know if that's a permanent thing or if it resets after you die. Extra life adds 1 life. And then the magnet lets the orb stick to the magic wand when they collide. Press A to relaunch it. So that would also be the equivalent of having glue on your paddle. The slow orb. The orb starts at a speed twice as slow, which implies that the orb speeds up over time. Multi-orb, the magic wand launches 3 orbs at once. The strong orb, the orb deals double damage until it's lost. Yeah, that was one thing about Death's Hangover that was kind of strange, is that none of the bricks in that game took 2 hits to break, where Arkanoid very much has multi-hit bricks where you have to bounce on them 2-3 times to break them. And then a jewel crown. Don't buy this crown or you'll be blinded by the dark clouds of greed. I wonder if there's some kind of secret there around the jewel crown. Looking at all these screenshots, you can tell, or I'm pretty much assuming everything's going to be a little bit more zoomed out than Death's Hangover also, which is probably for the better, just having bigger playfields and more time to react when the ball is coming towards the paddle. There are curses. Shrink, the magic wand becomes smaller until life is lost or until the level is cleared. Fast orb, the orb suddenly reaches its maximum speed. Hopefully it's not that fast. Drain magic drains some magic, and steals some gold points. No damage, the orb doesn't do any damage for a period of time. Glue, the magic wand gets slimed, shake it off by moving the wand left and right. So glue here may actually be a case where you have to just move the paddle back and forth, otherwise you're going to be stuck in one place. And Death destroys the magic wand and an orb is lost. But yeah, again you can see that the orb is fairly small and the enemies are fairly small. And here are the blocks. Small and medium blocks break in one hit. I would assume that those are the smallest on the screen. Large blocks have 2 HP, easier to hit than medium blocks, but a bit harder to break, whereas stone blocks break in more than one hit. And then ruby blocks change color when hit, match the colors of all rubies on the screen to destroy them, which that's an interesting twist. Although it is weird that medium blocks take one hit and small blocks take one hit. I guess medium blocks are just more likely to be hit, where small could be real pains to target. Switch blocks, which I assume is the red switch in the bottom middle there, opens a trapdoor when hit. Unbreakable blocks, I assume, are the diamond blocks on either side at the bottom. That would be, I guess unbreakable blocks are metal blocks, statues, and other obstacles that aren't affected by the orb. Treasure chests open when hit. They may contain a gem, a key, a potion of life, or a curse. And then boxes, brushes, and pots all break in one hit. Shield blocks, which ones are shield, break only when hit from behind. I guess that's the two in the top middle there are shield blocks. I guess technically that's a shield with a little plus on it. Bumpers are the kind of mushroom looking things that make the orb go twice as fast for a short period of time. Very pinball-esque. And then runes are magic symbols on the ground that could open a secret path, send the orb over the room with the corresponding amulet piece to activate it. So you may have to have amulets. And then there's a whole bunch of enemies. Wolf Kid is often sighted lurking around towns. Slime is a strange gelatinous creature that moves slowly by hopping. The Eyeball, it thrives in dark areas. The Ghost, a supernatural being that can teleport. And the Skull Knight is a demonic knight who can deflect the orb with his sword. And then, on top of the Arkanoid gameplay, is Taro Village. Taro was once a flourishing village, however, monsters summoned by the Devil King brought devastation upon the village. Now only ruins remain. You can participate in the reconstruction of the village by making donations to the village. So there's a whole RPG element here where you're going to donate gold to upgrade the village, to probably unlock shops or get discounts in shops, or at least get an achievement. If you help a villager, he may give you a reward in turn. Rebuilding the village can also unveil new possibilities, but like unlocking the shop where you can prepare before setting out on your quest. So 20 pages of how to play. That's quite a lot, particularly in silence. Now, as for the controls on the Xbox controller, it's not a lot. The Y button doesn't do anything. The triggers don't seem to do anything. It would be nice, certainly, if the triggers doubled as the A and B button, and maybe even a left bump to speed, double speed, but double speed is actually only for moving the wand, the paddle, when you're playing with the D-pad. One of the problems with Death's Hangover was that even on easy difficulty, it was very, very difficult when you got to the final bosses. So we may run into a similar problem in all Arkanoid games, that you just have to be really familiar with them and really good with them to get anywhere. As far as actual settings, there's music and sound effects starting at 80%, which is kind of odd, and then full screen. We could increase the paddle speed, and so we may find that paddle speed 2 or 3 are necessary. But that's enough setup. Let's actually now hop into the... I guess we could check the rankings and see what that is. Yep, seems like it is a whole bunch of unknown people, and then one person in #1 spot with a gamer tag. And these scores here are noticeably not particularly high. Although, weirdly, the #1 spot is almost certainly a cheater, because he's at 21,110, and then #2 is at 2,985, which makes me suspect that the maximum score you can actually get in World 1 is 2,985. Yeah, that is the same for World 2. Here you have a pretty obvious cheater, very possibly a cheater here, very possibly a cheater here, even very possibly a cheater here. This is the problem with most leaderboards as it goes, that there is just a lot of ways in which people can cheat the leaderboards and submit false scores, which just then ruins the leaderboards. One would assume that 3,102 is like the highest score you can actually get in World 3. It's interesting that the score isn't just a top score overall. And yeah, in a lot of cases, you also have to blame the publishers and developers of these games for not handling this kind of false information being in their leaderboards, because it's pretty obvious to figure out, and it is blatantly upfront when you're showing the top 1, 2, and 3 scores, when the numbers are orders of magnitude bigger than what is reasonable. Yeah. Total score in particular. Yep. I do think it is a case that in those cases you should just clear out your database and eliminate those scores. And we probably could track down the people that submitted the scores and ban them from submitting new scores. Okay, so this puts us in a weird position. We've done all the setup, and I could start playing now, but also I think it just makes more sense to call this episode 0 and then just jump into the game more in the next episode. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. It's just easier that way, and more people will want to watch episode 1 if it starts with actual gameplay. That's going to be it for this recording and the general setup and general comparisons to Death's Hangover. I'll try not to make too many comparisons to that game going forward, but there will be a few. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.